I believe we're live.
Yay! Hello, everyone.
Greetings. Welcome to Final Fantasy Chat on the 28th of May.
Yay!
That light is so bright.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
wow.
Well, don't look at it.
Well, I'm trying not to. It's just every single time I look at the
Honestly,
camera,
girls.
it's like right there. Welcome,
Hi,
guys.
everyone. Hi, Josh. Hi, BFK Gaming.
How is everyone? It's been an action-packed week of Final Fantasy.
Yeah, and an action-packed week for us. Hi, Ekov. Hi, Tom. We just got back from MCM yesterday, and we were just so dead today. We're like zombies.
we walked a lot yesterday. We walked a lot.
My counter was like going crazy.
It's like 20,000, right?
Hi, Nikki.
Something ridiculous.
Hi, Purple Hoshi. Hi, Steven. Hi, Rachel. Hi, Classic.
Hi, everyone.
Classic Male. Is that actually your name?
Oh, all right. So, any announcements before we start, Lawrence?
Well, I mean, we have some things going up. We have some things in the pipeline. Some giveaways.
Have some things in the pipeline.
Stuff.
Well, yeah. I mean, so we're going to be doing a giveaway this week. We're going to be putting up a video, I think, tomorrow, as a kind of the 25th anniversary. We haven't been going that long, to celebrate our 25,000 subscriber milestone. Thank you all, everyone who supported us so far and subscribed to our channel. Where you may notice a new addition to our shelf back there.
Oh, sorry, Anna.
There's a shelf back there. There's a new addition.
Yes.
It is a Noctis.
Yes, it is.
I didn't even
realize that you put that there.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything else for now, but we'll tune
talk
in tomorrow
about,
to see what happens with the Noctis. And also, yeah, like before we start, please like the video as you're pushing through. I mean, there's quite a lot of you guys in there already. Just whack that like button now. Yes. Okay. I think we're good to start.
Are we?
We're good to start.
Are we good?
Okay. You've got your beverage.
I have my beverage of awesomeness. Decaf
and
coffee.
Wally on the cup.
And Wally. Yeah, where is Wally? Can you guys try and find Wally? Actually, no.
No,
can't.
it's too blurry.
It's too blurry.
Okay,
Sorry.
right. So this week has been rather crazy for the Final Fantasy VII Remake, I'd say. But, I mean, it's been a bit weird. And I think some people have maybe taken things a bit... Like, it's been a bit confusing of what's going on. But, so I think we just thought it would be a good idea to discuss it. Even though, like, we've obviously put a video up about it. People have been discussing in the comments. But, like, how did you guys feel... And just initially as a kind of conversation starter, how did you guys feel about the news that they were urgently looking for staff and that the game was moving into its development kind of... Well, it's not development phase. It was I can't remember the exact wording that Katasa used, but it was basically like the development phase. How do you guys feel about that? Because I think it could be taken a couple of ways. In that, I mean, obviously they're looking to ramp up these kind of projects are always looking to bring more staff on board. And I mean, Final Fantasy 15 had like 300 people working on it at some point.
Yeah.
Like you've got to find those people from somewhere, and you know, I think with development projects, there's lots of kind of people move around a lot. When projects end, they move around. Obviously, we had a lot of people with Final Fantasy 15 that moved on to the project from other teams. And with the Final Fantasy VII Remake, it sounds like that's happening too, with Katase saying that there's staff members who worked on the original game that are still around that are going to be moving over to working on the remake. He didn't name anyone at this point, so I don't know who else is going to be moving over, aside from Katase, Nomura, and Najima.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting that that's also happening.
But yeah, Victor Lamana, you asked if it will be in episodes like Life is Strange. It will be more like parts, I think.
Yeah, think of it more like Mass Effect.
Mass Effect. So like Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, like they're each individual experiences, but may connect with each other. Yeah,
it's definitely more like, I think episodic is a very different connotation around what that is versus parts. Yeah, so it's very much like Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. That's how you need to look at it.
And Rachel, I don't think he can actually breathe in that box. We haven't poked any holes. Poor Noctis.
We probably won't be poking any holes either.
No. And yeah, no, I've been turned on to the Wally just because otherwise people have no clue what I'm talking about over here. If I say Waldo, they're just like, "Who's Waldo?" And I'm just like, it's like,
who is Waldo?
There's like a little, a little change. Just 2 letters.
It's a positive change.
I'm much more for Carmen Sandiego myself.
I think the reason why, Stephen, to answer your question in terms of why they said urgent, I think it's more the fact that, as Nomura said in his little paragraph speech thing, that it's becoming more and more apparent in Japan that they're just not really geared towards making high definition games in the way that the West are, and so the amount of talent just isn't there. I think as well because of the language barrier. So if in the West, it's not just America. You can hire people from the UK, like most of the European countries, Canada as well. Like there's a much bigger pool of people that you can draw from because it's so much more like they all speak English.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're going to be a developer and you're going to be working in Japan, like you really need to have Japanese in your arsenal. And I know that Tabata was hiring people of different faiths and nationalities to try and bolster his roster. But I think that is a big barrier to us, the fact that there's just not that many people in Japan that are capable of making HD games, and if there are, they're already in other companies.
Yeah, that's the trouble. And I think you hit it right on the head. It's like Square Enix is just, they're so limited in the fact that they have to speak Japanese, because there's not if you think about the whole globe, there's not that many people who speak Japanese compared to other languages, and on top of that, there's not very much developers who are fluent in Japanese to like even compare to what we have just in Europe and the States, really.
I mean, got some questions here about the when the parts will come out. I mean, it's Square, so it's really hard to tell. I mean, in an ideal world, it would be that they come out within 3 years. So part 1 and then part 2 and part 3 are a year apart of each other. But I can't see that happening with the way that they go. I mean, I'm expecting at least 2 years between each of them, because that's how they've always done it. Like, even in the best case scenario, it's, I mean, a year and a half, maybe pushing it, but I still think separate calendar years.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they do. Square Enix do. You're right. Classic Mail. Like, Square Enix do have very, very high standards for themselves and everything, and they're very ready to take a lot of stuff on themselves. I mean, recently they've been really good actually in dishing out some stuff and, they
outsource more now,
asking for help. But it's like you just look at their merchandising alone. They do everything in-house. Everything you get from the Square Enix store is pretty much made in-house, because that's the way that they want to. They want to be able to do everything, but like, it's just a sad thing that they can't do it all the time.
But yeah, I mean, I think with regards to the staff and obviously the timing of things, I think it's been taken a bit out of proportion. Obviously, yeah, they're urgently looking for staff members, but I don't think it's as, like people have been saying, it sounds like they've been doing for nothing for the last 2 years. I don't necessarily think that's true. I think they've been doing a lot of figuring out in terms of like how things are going to work logistically,
what would be the story changes, how they'll incorporate things like Zack into the story and Genesis. Like, they do have a lot of stuff that they need to sort out,
and it sounds like a lot of the kind of mechanics they've already established how a lot of those going to work. It's now just, it seems like it's just kind of working through the nuances in terms of how it's actually going to work. What are the different elements that are going to be added. I think that all the core stuff is pretty much done.
I also just wonder, like, whether or not the script will still be relevant in the time that it takes for them to complete it as well. Like, where will we be socially in the next 3 years or so? Like, will certain things be offensive still, like, or more offensive than, you know?
Hello, Bahamut Zero.
Hi, Bahamut Zero.
Are your friends Bahamut Sin and Neo Bahamut joining as well?
I know, we could have the whole Bahamut clan.
Fine, that's bad. Lauren just didn't.
It's
a bad joke,
okay,
guys.
Girls, you're okay.
Final Fantasy VII reference, come on. Okay, guys, give me some estimations. When do you think the Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to come out? 2017 is still possible. I mean, technically, fiscal year 2018 is from now until the end of the year, or it's now until April. April next year.
But yeah, no, I agree, Ishmael. I mean, that is the biggest problem. Like, Nomura has his hand in everything that Square Enix produces at the moment. Like, even the merchandise, he has the final say in what happens. So he has to, approve everything. He has so much on his plate at the moment. And to put it even more sort
bye,
of
Rachel.
straightforward. Oh, bye, Rachel. He doesn't want to be a director.
No, and that's the weird thing. I mean, Nomura has even gone on record. I think it was during the Monaco thing, saying he prefers being a producer. He doesn't want to be a director. So then, why is he directing 2 games?
I know.
2 of the company's biggest games right now, outside of Pro Dragon Quest 11.
So we got a lot of like 2020s and 2018s when my grandchildren are born. I hope it's not that long. I think Square Enix would be in a lot of trouble if they waited that long.
I'm glad that someone has said 2017. Thank you, Puddle Jumper. Thank you. Hassan, I think asking when all the episodes is going to be out, that's just an unanswerable question. That genuinely is an unanswerable question.
I know.
I mean, at this rate, I genuinely have no idea.
No.
Because if part 1 is, 2018 is looking like it would be the ideal time for it to come out.
Yeah.
But I can't see it happening.
And I also just wonder, like, how long each thing will play out as well. Like, how far in the game they're going to go with
where's the
part.
cut point going to be? I mean, they could do it so that it matches along with the original disc separations.
Yeah, which would make sense.
But they could just do it so that, Midgar is the first part. And they put all their resources into making Midgar, because that's going to be an extremely difficult task for them to make Midgar. Yeah. And then maybe it's episode 2 or the part 2 and part 3 that deal with the world map, and they don't deal with that in the first game.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that would make sense. It'd be a good plan, essentially. PS4 Dissidia, yeah, we're still holding out. Hopefully 3 maybe we'll have something on that.
I think another part of it is when the PS5 and the next generation of consoles is going to be coming through.
And Fire Leo, to finally answer your question, I think that she will have some big knockers. How about that? I think that her boobies will be so big that she can fly in Remake. Yeah, she can just float.
Float and
all
fly.
The time. And she can attach them and use them as a safety floaty device. I mean, that actually is an airship as well.
I mean, just if they are working with Team Ninja,
they are.
So I mean, they could reuse some assets.
Yeah.
Depending on if Tifa's going to be in Dissidia, I'd imagine she will be.
Yeah, they'll just go helicopter. Where'd you go?
I think. I mean, if you think about Midgar as a whole, there's a lot they could do with that. I mean, you've got so much stuff that you could expand upon throughout Midgar. because if you think about the actual game, there's they could there's the bits like when you're going to the wool market for the first time from Aerith's house, they could make that a lot more complicated. I mean, but there's so much back and forth. I mean, in terms of gameplay time, how long does it take to get out of Midgar typically? It's what, like 10 hours maybe?
Yeah, something like that.
It's been a while.
Mm.
But they could easily pad that with more dialogue. They could start inserting kind of flashback sequences with
like,
Zack.
Adamus Prime says, like, expanding upon Jesse and Biggs and Wedge's stories a bit. That would be really cool, actually. I really like them. I really like Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge.
I can imagine Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse getting more story, more character development than they did in the original game. And I can imagine them making the kind of everything that happens around the plate and all that stuff. They're going to make that so much more impactful than it was in the original game.
Yeah, that will be interesting how they incorporate summons. Like, that's just going to be such a cluster F, because, like, you'd have to carry the summons that you get. Well, I guess if they make it linear and you just collect the summons as you go along, and there's no, like, extra summons that you can collect until maybe the very end.
I would imagine they'll keep it quite similar.
Yeah.
To how it was in the original game.
Yeah.
Like when you get the summons and all that stuff. James, is that 3.5 hours as an experienced player, or is that 3.5 hours the first time you played it? Because, I mean, if you think about everything that happens in Midgar, it's actually a lot.
Yeah.
Because you've got the first bombing mission, then you've obviously got the whole escape from the bombing mission.
Victor.
You've then got going through the train all the way through to kind of this. You got the second bombing mission against the airbuster. Then you go back down into the thing where you meet Aerith. You've got the kind of meeting with the Turks for the first time. You've then got all the stuff in the wool market. Then you've got the going up to the top of the wool market, the Shimmer Tower and everything. There's a lot of stuff that happens within that. There's a lot of stuff that they could do with regards to character development. And I mean, this is just ridiculous, but in terms of saving time, if they did just focus on Midgar, they would only have to work on four characters? And maybe, no, 5, because I read 13.
Oh, you mean like for party members?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Sid's not going to be there, Vince is not going to be there, Yuffie's not going to be there.
Yeah.
Who else am I thinking of right now? Kate Sith.
Yeah, Kate Sith
is not going to be there.
No.
It would just be Cloud, Barrett, Tifa, Aeris, and Red 13.
Yeah. Yandia, I mean, I honestly, the only thing that worries me is that the sense of humor will be compromised a bit, because for me personally, from like the last few games that I've played, a sense of humor has been a big issue with me with the Final Fantasy games, because like ever since they've included voice acting, and I'm not trying to like harp on voice actors, it's mainly the writing, but ever since then they've not really been funny. Like the games have just not had that sort of like
Crisis Core had charm.
It had a little bit, but it was still like, I'm a hero.
It was kind of corny charm.
Yeah. Whereas, like, I mean, you think about Final Fantasy VIII and Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy IX, like, they all had a really good sense of humor. Final Fantasy VI had a great sense of humor. Like, there are a lot of scenes where I actually, like, burst out laughing. And I do kind of worry with, like, especially the Don Corneo scenes, like, that they're just going to kind of ruin it with, like, the scripts. I don't know if it's like a language barrier thing.
I think it also, like, there's loads of different things they can do with the wool market. I mean, even just people talk about the Don Corneo scene, but you've got the Honeybee Inn, you've got the squat challenges, you've got the dress up game. Like, there's a lot of different funny parts to that whole sequence.
Yeah.
And I think I don't necessarily know if they've got it in them again to make it funny.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing.
I can see them making the game a lot more serious.
Like mucky. Like what are they gonna do for
But
mucky?
even like right at the beginning of the game, the opening bombing mission when you escape and Wedge is running around with his arse on fire. Mm-hmm. Like it's
not gonna be as funny because it's too realistic.
Yeah, I can't see them making it funny.
No, and like just like little things that you see, like little animations that they do, that are just odd. Like they're just not gonna be funny anymore. Like Barrett's freakouts, like they're not gonna be as silly as they were sometimes.
Well, we don't know they're not going to. We're just gonna have to wait and see, aren't we? Yeah.
But no, Final Fantasy X, the funniest part for me, funnily enough, with Final Fantasy X was when Titus says, "We're gonna go to Macarena Temple." You mean Macalania Temple? That was my favorite part in the whole game. And then the Hold Your Chocobo scene was just great. But like, they were cheesy, but they were funny. They were actually funny. Like, they actually made you laugh. Like when they discover that Firion is actually a girl. Is it Firion? It's Firion, isn't it? Ferris. Oh shoot, I'm mixing up names. When they find out that she's a girl, and they just have these big bulge eyes, and they all run out of the room, and they're just like, "I think that she's a girl," and then they run back in, and then they're just like, "Oh my god, she is actually a girl," and they're just freaking out about it. Like, it's just so funny. And Final Fantasy VI is just hilarious. Edgar is just such a ham.
He is. But no, I don't necessarily know if we're at the hipster age where we think our humor was good back in the day. Mm. Because even if that is the case, it's the same guys making it now that made the original, so they should be able to keep the humor intact. True. But it's just the worry with the realism they're going for now.
But bless his heart, Nomura's games are not funny. Like, Kingdom Hearts is so cringy funny that I'm just like, oh, baby, just stop. Let's all make a funny face. Wait.
But I mean, do people even want the game? Would you guys even want the Final Fantasy VII Remake to be funny? Or would you rather it's actually like a serious, like really gritty game?
Intense.
Because like there are a lot of really hard issues in Final Fantasy VII, and the older games, because of the graphics, they could make things funny. But as the graphics have got more serious, it's not so easy to make the fun. Like, I don't ever remember Mass Effect ever really being funny.
There are funny moments in Mass Effect, though.
Are they accidental? They're
like sassy moments with Femshep. Like,
sassy, yes.
They are so funny.
But I don't remember bursting out laughing.
There's some moments of sass in Mass Effect that are amazing. Hildebrand, I will admit, Hildebrand are hilarious. Like, that is actually Final Fantasy 14 in general. That writing is actually really great. Like, that's one of the recent ones that I've actually like laughed at.
Serious but funny.
Yeah, people seem to be wanting a mix, which is exactly what the original was. The original was serious, but it was also funny.
I'm curious to see what the characters like Kate Sith are gonna look like.
Bugenhagen.
Yeah.
What the heck are they gonna make? He's gonna be floating on a little ball.
Because how are they gonna make those characters funny?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if it's all intense all the time, you just kind of get thrown out. Like, you need to have a balance. Otherwise, it's just too much. Hildebrand is probably the best Final Fantasy character, yeah.
I think it's Steel Angel Vicky. I think the thing with the humor for me was that it was never so much about the dialogue. It was more about the animations and stuff they did with the characters.
Yeah.
And as the graphics have got more serious, it's been harder to do that.
Perfect example, the play in Final Fantasy VII, like when they have Cloud spinning around on the spot, like that was just silly because the animation was just so over the top and silly. And like I just don't know how they're gonna do that in the remake.
Yeah, I mean Red 13 on the cargo ship trying to walk around his feet.
Yeah, trying to walk around on his feet.
Oh, hi John, welcome.
Hi, John. Oh, I miss you so much. We were at MCM and we were just like, where's John?
But yeah, like, I mean, I'm maybe drawing a blank here, but if anyone can highlight any funny moments in Final Fantasy 13. Because, yeah, I mean, none really stand out to me unless I'm just drawing a blank.
Type 0 had a lot of funny moments, though. Throwing the Moogle. All the conversations with Nine and the really smart one. Oh, what is his name? There's too many names. I am not prepared for this name thing tonight. I'm not prepared for this name business. Who are you talking about? The guy in the library in Final Fantasy Type 0 who always like sort of bests Nine about his knowledge of.
Oh man.
I know. I don't know what it is. It's too complicated.
I think it begins with a K. I know who you're talking about. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Good job, Dallas. Hopefully somebody else does.
I didn't realise I'd said the fact.
You ready to say?
Everyone's just saying that Final Fantasy 13 was the joke.
Oh no! oh, that's so sad.
No, Purple Hoshi, we're not talking. Yeah, not Trey. The other guy.
No, it wasn't Trey.
It's Quan.
Quan, is it?
I think it's Quan. Oh, Lauren,
no.
Go.
Go.
It's the half an hour mark. This camera just comes with so many annoyances.
But Roni Wang, like that's fair enough. But the thing is that you can't just turn it off. Like you just can't. People who are playing this game, there's going to be people who have played the original and expect a lot out of it because the original was so good. Like you can't just sit there and be like, oh well, don't compare it to compare them as two different games. They're putting themselves on the line in order to make a remake. Like it's Square Enix. If Square Enix can't step up to bat and make a better game than the original, then they shouldn't have taken that step. You know, like.
Moms are tough.
Yes, moms
are tough. Funny but for the wrong reasons again.
Like people are always going to compare to the original. Like it's just going to happen, and if it doesn't succeed in that, then they have to rethink.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like with Ragnarok Master, like with Dying Suicide, like the serious scenes, I think they're going to absolutely knock out of the park. They're going to make those so much better. It's just I haven't really seen, especially when they've tried to go for the realism, like the kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Final Fantasy 15 had like a couple of smirks, but nothing too funny.
No, they've completely lost their sense of humor, except for in Final Fantasy 14. Final Fantasy 14 is great.
But I mean, Final Fantasy 14 is just a massive parody, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just a massive joke. That's the whole thing. It's a big joke.
Yeah. It's great. But what I don't understand is like Nier had a lot of humor in it.
Would you like to do a re-promotion, by the way?
Oh, yeah.
Also, we're about halfway in. Everyone who's in the chat right now or watching, please hit the like button on the video. Get that like ratio up. Yeah, if you haven't already. God, there's 100 of you in here now.
Are we special?
I mean, I would say like the VF Sozos. I would say that like the games are drastically different in some ways, but then they're not in others. Like the story changed and the characters changed, but there were things that were about the story and that were distinctly Final Fantasy. It's why people stuck with it and why they enjoyed it. If they changed things that much, I mean, that's the thing. Like they started changing things quite significantly, and that's where kind of people started getting a bit confused and like where all the kind of dissension came in around things. Classic male. When you're saying the hundreds of hours of humor, are you talking about where it just repeats itself? And
I've come up with a new recipe.
Well, I wasn't gonna say that one.
Oh, really?
I was gonna do the old gladiolus headache thing.
Oh my god, yeah.
Which I'm not gonna repeat because it's just annoyed the crap out of me so much. Oh, bye Bahamut Zero.
Oh, bye Bahamut Zero.
I mean, I am classic male. I'm completely open with change as well, as long as it's good.
Yeah, like it just has to be a good change.
Like change is what makes things better. I don't want the same game rehashed everywhere. It's why I personally am not a massive fan of the Zelda franchise, and it's why I like the Final Fantasy franchise, and it's why when they started receiving negative feedback around like Final Fantasy 13 about a lot of people saying, oh, we should have just gone back, blah, 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 blah. It's change is what's got them where they are. I think the problem they've had is that they haven't done the change based on the changes that they want to push forwards as much. It's more the changes that they think other people want. And I think that's where the issues have come, because once they started gaining access to a lot more feedback from people, they started changing things. Like, I mean, if you look at 13 versus 13.2, 13.2, they basically changed everything everyone wanted, and it was good in some ways, but then the people started disliking it because they changed too much based on feedback. It's like, it's the kind of difficulty with the creator's vision, and then trying to make the game that everyone wants. It's like like where's the artistic integrity in that? And it's something that I think I've always kind of not been too happy about. I mean, we got sport in an era where like Final Fantasy 6 through 10, or even 10-2, I really enjoyed all the games, and 12 it didn't click with me as well as the other ones had done, but I can still appreciate it as a good game. It's not terrible by any standards. It's not as good as the ones that came previous, in my opinion, but like there were positive things about the game. I mean, even Ito himself wasn't really happy with the game he set out, which is why he made the International Zodiac Job System. But I think the problems have come with the feedback. They're so desperate to just listen to what everyone wants, and instead of just really worrying about what they want to do.
Yeah.
Which is why with the Final Fantasy VII Remake and Nomura just saying, you guys all want turn-based. Well, I don't care. I'm doing action. Like, as long as what he creates is good based on that, I really don't care if it's action gameplay. I'm not gonna say I'm not one of the people that is like clinging on to what the original Final Fantasy VII was, because it's still there. I can go and play it if I want to. This is a different game now. It's a massive redo of the original game, and any of the decisions they make, it's on them to make sure they work.
Okay, example of the funny things. So this is one of the funniest quotes from Final Fantasy 15 versus one of the funniest quotes from Final Fantasy 7. Ready?
Go, Lauren.
So it says, "So, what do you think Gladio's doing? Probably chasing girls. Son of a bitch." Crickets.
Is that on one of the funniest things?
It's one of the funniest things that somebody
said. That was
said.
voted the funniest line on Reddit, apparently.
And then, well, no, it wasn't voted. It was just on.
Well, it's got the most upvotes.
And then this one from Final Fantasy 7, Vincent says, "I don't care what you're doing. It's just the idiotic way that you're doing it. It's just silly." Oh, you didn't find it funny? You bastard! I hate you!
Son of a bitch!
Son of a bitch! The Hypelas were really cute in Final Fantasy X.
Right, the shoot
Right, the shoot puffs are waiting!
Exactly, James, and I think that's the main thing. Like, Final Fantasy, it doesn't know who its audience is anymore. I mean, I'm a massive fan of the Warriors franchise, as we discussed previously on I think on the last poll, the last chat, and like they know exactly who their audience is. They know who it is, and they make their games for that. And if it expands, great. And they'll try to kind of make little tweaks to make, like, obviously they do listen to feedback. I'm not saying they shouldn't listen to feedback, because some of the feedback is good, but it's just like what they don't really know what it is they want, what it is they want to do. It's like someone said, "Oh, you need to have side quests in the game to make it successful." Well, okay, you can put side quests in the game, but make them good. Like, they're putting in concepts that they don't really fully understand, because that's what they think their target market wants, as opposed to this is what we think is going to make a good game. At least that's how I feel. That's my interpretation of the way things have gone.
Here's another one. What's Seed's goal? Flower. It's just when I read that in game, and then like the whole sequence in Final Fantasy VIII where Laguna's leg cramps up, and he's just like, "Oh God, no!" And he's like trying to get back. He's trying to hobble back to his chair. Like, that just doesn't happen in Final Fantasy Final Fantasy 15 or Final Fantasy 10, really.
I'd say that Irvine, the jokes around Irvine with the ladies are much better than jokes around Gladiolus and the ladies.
Because he just fails. And the porno mag, like, there's so much.
There's a porno mag in 15 too. Gladiolus sleeps with it, I think.
Oh, how lovely. But yeah, like from Final Fantasy X. Once Lady Yuna fixes her hair, we leave. It's like, that's not just, it's just corny. It's like not, it's just not funny. But I did like when Yuna said, "I don't like your plan. It sucks." That like blew me out of the water, because I was just like, that is so not Yuna, but I love it. It's like, "I don't like your plan. It sucks." And I was just like, yes, go.
God, imagine if Hideo Kojima did do the Final Fantasy VII remake. That would be crazy.
Yeah. Death everywhere.
That would be
blood.
Insane.
Just so much blood.
But he knows his games are funny.
They are. They're amazing.
I mean, the fact that he has his main character running around in a cardboard box.
I know.
And
it's
like
so
he gets
great.
embarrassed. I think in MGS2 gets embarrassed when he sees the posters of the pin-up girls and stuff.
Yeah, no, it would be so great.
Just so Snake's just so uncomfortable.
No, I would love if he made a Final Fantasy game. But yeah, no, I understand Julio. Like, yeah, will the game come out? I don't know. I just don't know.
Kojima, it might take 20 years, but
it would be worth it.
It would be worth it.
I am still in tears over Silent Hills. I am so still in tears.
I mean, like, wait. So since MGS2 came out 2002, I think.
Hi, Matthew.
So that's 15 years ago. So they've had MGS3, MGS4, MGS5, Peace Ops, Portable, Peace Walker, Portable Ops Plus, and then the online continuance. It's a decent number of games, I think.
Yoko Taro making a Kingdom Hearts game. Kyrie would just be in a stripper outfit, just undies, and that's it. Just done. Yoko Taro game. But a lot of emotion.
I would love to see them and pitch that to Disney.
So, we're just gonna kill everybody. We're gonna kill every single Disney character. But it's gonna be great because it's gonna be emotional. Mackenzie critiques. Like, I can kind of understand what you're saying. However, those games were really well put together. Like, they just were. And like you can't argue the fact that we are getting new fans in who have replayed it on something like Steam or that kind of thing. Like I mean, it's only been recently, I think, where people have been starting to come in and they're saying, like, you know, Final Fantasy 13 was their first game or Final Fantasy 15 was their first game for a long time.
And I think it's been in the last couple of years as well that Final Fantasy 7's been shifting down the lists.
Yeah.
In terms of what's the favorite.
Like, it has to be said that, like,
I don't know really what. I mean, I kind of get it, but I don't fully understand what's happening in terms of it. It's the worst selling ones that are now everyone's favorite.
Yeah. Hipster.
Like 6, 12, and 9 are the worst selling ones.
6 is great though. Like 6 is great. The characters there's too many characters, but like the writing is stellar.
What was your comment, Monkey Swag?
But like there's a reason why Final Fantasy 7 and Final Fantasy 10 have sort of stood the test of time. They
continue to sell well.
They do.
Like Final Fantasy 7 is the best-selling Final Fantasy game on Steam. You say that about Yoshida, but they are working on other games. I don't know what it is, but if you go to their staff recruitment page, they made Dragon Quest Builders his department, and they are working on a new game. So he is venturing outside of 14.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't know how long they're going to sort of take 14 out. I guess until
11's still going.
Yeah, until people just aren't playing it anymore. I guess
11 is still going, and it's going to be going. I think they said that 11's going to be going for at least another year now, which is quite crazy, but people are still playing it. It's crazy how loyal people are to those kind of games.
Yeah, and Patrick, to be honest, I think it would really hurt them if they didn't go for a teen rating, because like, well, I mean, I don't know, because most of our games are freaking mature. Like most of our games.
Most content now,
mature.
Like we've had, I don't know, like we talk about actually quite a lot in our spare time because we love it. But like if you think about like 20 years ago, most games were aimed towards children.
Yeah.
You had a couple of mature games like Mortal Kombat that were
like
that it was controversial.
You do not play that. Conker's Bad Fur Day. You don't play that.
It was controversial back then. That's what their marketing was. I mean, even GTA was a controversial game. But it's like, you know, GTA 5.
I felt dirty playing that game.
GTA 5 had like no real controversy. What was it like? You could drive while you were drunk. That was the controversy.
Yeah.
And was that GTA 4 even? I think it was GTA 4. But it's
Possibly.
like nowadays, like because everything's so like first-person shooters and blood and gore, and it's most games are mature. And then when you get kids games, like I think Yooka-Laylee was a game made by the guys who did Banjo-Kazooie that came out recently.
Mm-hmm.
People are complaining because it's a kids game. And it's like, well, it's aimed at kids.
Yeah.
But then the people playing it are in their 30s.
Yeah.
And saying like, oh, it's not that great. It's like, well, it's for children.
Yeah, like it's not for you. That's why it's such a shame, because like kids just get pushed by the wayside when it comes to games.
Okay, Monkey Swag, your question: would I rather have summons be temporary party members or one big summon attack? I don't know, actually. I mean, 12 obviously had the kind of party member summon thing happening, and then in the Zodiac Age now you're going to be able to control them. I think there's benefits to having them as like that super. I mean, with Final Fantasy X, it was kind of controllable as well, but they came in place of the rest of your party members. In 13, it was the same. I kind of liked that because it gave you a bit of a break from things.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with the way that 15's was, where you just got some massive mega attack, which was actually really powerful and useful, as opposed to summons in the past where I literally never used them because they sucked. I think like if it was 15's ones, but there were actual like set specific criteria that you had to go through. Like if they had it like in Final Fantasy 8, where when you're in like a bad situation with your health wise, you can summon, you can do something. That's where your limit breaks were. Like if they had summons in 15, like if there was something that you knew you had to do to make a summon come, as opposed to just like seemingly random, I would prefer that system. I think I'd probably go for the big bad Mama Jamma attack.
Yeah, I would go for the big one. But yeah, I mean,
Julia,
saying how kids still have Nintendo, it's like they do, but like they should have some diversity. Like when I was a kid, I had so much selection in terms of what I wanted to play. I didn't just have Nintendo. I had Sega Genesis, I had Sonic, I had, so many games that are considered to be jokes now. Maybe not the classic versions, but the current versions. And it's just such a shame because, like...
I think the difficulty is that, like, back in the past, games were for kids. So, but nowadays the audiences and the demographics are so different, and you can't cater to them all with your game. Like, and it's the movies are having the same problem.
Yeah.
Like you have so many movies now. Like most like I don't know, it's like Deadpool, for example.
Yeah.
A lot of people thought they were going to try and do PG, or like a lot of the action film, like the Marvel ones, where like Wolverine and stuff, they often kind of try and cut it down so they can get that kind of sweet spot audience.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like I think Julio was saying that a lot of games aren't rated M. That's not necessarily. I think that's necessarily the point. It's more that the games are targeted at the higher end of the audience. Like they're not targeted at like 10-year-olds.
No.
Well, they probably are actually. But,
yeah, I know. But like, I would never let Allie play like half of the games that we have because it's just like not. I don't necessarily believe in the whole like violence gaming thing, obviously, but like just some of the content is really dicey, and I don't really want Allie to see that right now.
Vicky, you say that it's the adults that have the money, and that is very true, but it's the kids
will buy anything
exactly.
for their kids. You don't understand how many times I go into game and the parents will just go to the attendants and just say like, "What can I buy for my game?" And then they just buy some
What
random.
Can I buy for my game?
Or sorry, buy for my kid, and then they buy some random ass game that like.
It's why Skylanders and Disney, like, they're all so successful.
Yeah.
Because they're marketed at children, and there's like all these different add-ons and things you can buy and everything. And
parents will buy stuff for their kids. Parents buy mature games for their kids. Like, if their kid wants it, parents will buy mature games. It's time that we actually have a selection, like actually legitimately good kids games, and stop this whole thing of just kids getting their hands on games that are just really not for them.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. And yeah, I think that like the writing. So for Final Fantasy 15, I actually thought that like the concept and what he had, like the sort of skeleton he had for the story of 15 was really stellar. Like I thought that the characters were really deep, and that sort of thing. And I think that it really suffered from the fact that one, it wasn't his game to begin with, and two, they just had like zero time to do anything. But I honestly do think that Tabata is a really good writer. I think he's like really good at directing the games as well. But then also like Nojima in the past he was amazing too. Like he was really good with his games. So I think they really have sort of passed the torch a bit. Like Tabata's games are really good, I think, story wise. Aside from
Patrick again, I think you've asked quite a lot of questions actually. Will Uematsu be involved with this? Now, it's actually a funny one because he said no so far, and his reasoning was that he doesn't want to revisit old work, which I think is dubious because he worked on the Final Fantasy X HD remaster soundtrack. But it doesn't seem like it's going to be. I think it may end up being Ishimoto.
Yeah.
Because he's worked on Crisis Core, he's worked on Before Crisis, he's done arrangement of Uematsu stuff for Dissidia as well.
I love Ishimoto. I think his stuff has been really, really good. you say that about not being able to afford, but you'd be funny to find how much money you do spend on your kids when you have them unintentionally. There are so many times where I go out and I'm just like, Allie has to have that. And I have to really withhold myself. And then, like, you think Christmas or birthdays or Hanukkah or whatever the holiday you're celebrating, like, there's a lot of stuff that you could buy for your kids.
Birthday, I mean, like, Jake, my man, welcome.
Jake, hello.
But no, I think I always remember when I was a kid, I used to get presents. Like, presents was when you'd get like birthdays.
Yeah, I would always
Christmas
get
is when
games.
I get games. I wouldn't get games outside of that.
No, I would always pick up used games though. As a bit of a cheapskate.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I would always buy used games. I was just like, oh, there's a used game. Let me do that one.
Oh, it's getting very toasty in this room.
It is. We're just too hot.
All right. Should we? Right, final 6 minutes of the stream.
Yes.
6 minutes.
6 minutes. Hi,
What-
Tiago Gnomes.
What does everyone want to talk about with regards to the Final Fantasy remake in the final 6 minutes? 5 minutes now. 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
5
5 minutes. 5 minutes. I actually really think that Ragnarok, I really think that, like, I don't obviously know what their relationship is, but I think Nomura and Tabata would have a really good teamwork. Like, if they could just both sort of, maybe, I don't know if one of them maybe has too big an ego to work together or anything, but, like, I honestly think that they would bring out the best in either of them. And I think that that would probably be a really stellar game. And they have worked together in the past, probably.
Yeah.
Like with Crisis Core and stuff.
Socrates D. Montas. I'd like to hope we're not getting into a versus 13 situation with the Final Fantasy VII remake, but it's Nomura. It is Nomura. Nomura has the history of just games taking 20 billion years.
Notorious.
It's just what he does. And I think actually I can't remember who it was. They said earlier about would I have preferred the Final Fantasy VII remake to have been announced at this E3 as opposed to 2 years ago? I think I'm happy with the fact that they announced it 2 years ago as opposed to waiting, because it meant that we stopped having the questions about, are you going to do a Final Fantasy VII remake?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I could have like just put up with another 2 years of people incessantly asking, are you going to be doing this game?
Yeah.
Now we just have to worry about the incessant people asking, when's it going to come out?
Yeah.
Jake, I reckon that Nomura's going to go pretty off-piste with the script.
There's going to be zippers.
I genuinely, I think he's going to go crazy with it.
He's going to add X's to everybody's name. Silent X's.
Has he added any more belts and zippers to the characters? I don't think he has.
He's added glasses.
He has added glasses for Barrett. No, he had them in Advent Children, didn't he?
No.
No?
No. Maybe he's changed. Maybe he's now going to be known as Nomura the Glasses instead of belts and zippers.
Vicky, I completely understand. I mean, I had a Mega Drive for a long time. I didn't get a PlayStation until I think the year before the PS2 came out. But then by that point, I had just started my working like a part-time job. So I was able to save up for a PS2 and got that on launch date.
Yeah. I mean, like, nowadays, with how many sales they have, like, you can get games for, like, pennies. Like, there's always deals going on. I always see deals going on. I was just talking to somebody the other day who said that they got, like, I think it was World of Final Fantasy Day 1, and because they had so many points saved up at Sainsbury's or something, they were able to get it for £4. Like, Day 1, £4. Like, that's insane. You know, and Steam sales are always going crazy as well. So there are ways to get games affordably now. Barrett's glasses appear with zippers on them. Actually, he pulls a zipper off and he's actually Dino in disguise.
I'm just waiting for that. There has to be some kind of scene where someone punches Barrett somehow and his Rude's glasses always
Rude's glasses always break. Maybe he stole them from Rude.
Oh, they're gonna have glass envy. Glasses envy.
Hey.
I can't wait to see how the other characters are gonna look in this game.
He's fat. Products.
Also, I wonder. Red 13s is probably the one that I'm most curious about.
Yeah, I know. I really wonder what he's gonna look like. I mean, in Advent Children, he looked like sort of cartoony / realistic, so they might go that route. I wonder if Liam O'Brien will be asked again to do the role as well.
Lisa, I think the recruitment is a good thing because it's a sign of progress. Like, irrespective of what they've been doing during that time, I don't care. The fact is that they're now making progress and they're making we're going in the right direction. Like, you know, I mean, Matsuda's even talking about the fact that these games will be coming out in the next 3 years. Mm-hmm. This is progress. It's very vague answers to the questions that people have been asking, but at least it's something, as opposed to just silence, unending silence about stuff.
But yeah, I do think that they will be, Kane, I definitely think that they will be incorporating something from Crisis Core story into Final Fantasy VII. Like, I think they kind of have to. Although, I mean, they said that they don't want to be sort of chained to the original compilation.
Yeah, I mean, I think...
compilation, sorry.
I think Genesis is the most logical for them to include in Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm not too sure about characters like Cisne and Hollander. And Geel, maybe. But, yeah, I don't think Cisne would make too much sense.
It stopped again.
It's the half an hour mark.
But we are like
right,
pretty much
reset,
done.
and then
I'll
we'll
reset and then we'll head out.
We'll reset and then we'll reset.
You can see our pretty faces for
One
us
last
to leave.
time. One last time. We're gonna have to look up how we can fix the half an hour shutdown.
I know. Freaking camera.
Alright guys, I think we're gonna have to...
I'm starting to get sleepy.
We're gonna have to call it... This has been our longest stream actually.
I know.
It was lovely to see you, Mr. Peasant.
I know, it's lovely to see all of you.
Thank you everyone else for joining.
So
please whack that like button before you leave.
Subscribe if you haven't already.
Yeah, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And then be sure to check out the channel tomorrow because we're going to be We're going to be posting up our video about our 25,000 subscriber milestone. And there's going to be a big giveaway. Hint, hint. Hint, yeah, over there somewhere. Alright guys, thank you so much for joining us and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.